Let's pray. Almighty God, who in your wisdom and goodness have appointed the office of leaders and county assemblies for the welfare of society and the just government of the people, we beseech you to behold with your abundant favor as your servants, whom you've been pleased to call to the performance of important tasks in this county. Let your blessings descend upon us here assembled. Grant that we treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our county, and of those whose interests you've committed to our charge. Amen. Clerk, take us through the order of the day.
Third Assembly, third session. Order paper number 161 of today, Tuesday, 14th March 2024 at 2:30 p.m. Order number 1, administration of oath.
Next order.
Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Honorable members, I want to welcome you to this session. But I'm well informed that at the gallery are students from St. Peter's Soin in Gishu County, led by Mr. Ngetich Titus. Mr. Ngetich Titus? Yes, feel welcome. Feel welcome to Kisumu County Assembly. I think you understand that it was in Gishu. We have so many comparisons that we do. It was in Gishu County. And as our norm, who is coming next to us in Gishu? Honorable Iko. Honorable Iko is coming from Kabonyo, Kanyagwara. I think we should be having Honorable Dari. Honorable Dari is bordering Nandi County. From Nandi County, you go to Wasin Gishu. Or Komudo. I'm seeing Honorable Komudo. Honorable Komudo, what do you say? Yeah, so I give you a chance to talk to the students. Yeah.
Honorable Speaker, together with the honorable members, many thanks this afternoon today. Together with the students coming from St. Peter's, Mr. Ngetich, together with your team, please feel at home, feel warm, feel like yesterday also. As good as yesterday, as good as today. We are privileged to have you here today. A very wonderful chance to step into these prestigious grounds that you people know that people don't step in very easily. I think from the history, and I want to believe that some of the young people there could also be aspiring to be here. Indeed, you'll make it. Most wonderful, you are here for a learning session. It's good to listen. It's also good to aspire. I remember the many days back there when some of us were still at your stage. We used to dream this kind of coming to this environment, and indeed we have made it today. We equally want you, to those who could be willing, and pray for you, including various different fields, the doctors, the engineers, the lawyers, and all capacities served. May God bless you and wish you a nice day all together. This is Kisumu County Assembly or County Assembly of Kisumu, and you are seeing here the Honorable Speaker together with the Honorable members and the admins and of course the clerks of the Assembly. Karibuni sana. Asante. Thank you. Many thanks. Many thanks once more.
I've seen that there was demand that Honorable Iko say something. Honorable Beni Peto Iko.
Yes, Honorable Speaker. Members echoed my name, that the young ones who have come to Kisumu County Assembly should hear my voice. You feel welcomed to Kisumu County, the cleanest city in Kenya. In East Africa, we are now rating at that level in terms of cleanliness. Gishu, that is Rift Valley. We had a long relationship with people of Rift Valley, being our neighbors. And the advice to the young ones, I know you have come here to hear politics. Here is not only politics, but here embrace all sorts of life. And the advice we will give you is that when you are still in school, some of you may aspire, may admire being politicians. Be keen on reading newspapers. When you are keen on reading newspapers, you will improve your English capacity. And I know there's a paper that students hardly read, and that is the Taifa Leo. Because nowadays when clustering is being done, the languages are being considered. So don't ignore English and Kiswahili. It is not automatic that when you come to, from Rift Valley, you know Kiswahili. You may know the theory one, but the grammatical one, you need to begin read a lot of Kiswahili textbooks and the Taifa Leo with the Kiswahili newspapers to enhance your vocabulary. Another thing we want to advise the young one, you are now in school. Don't think that it is the teacher who will make you pass. Your good effort, 75% of the work or 80% lies on you, not the teacher. So when you do a lot of work and you read all the subjects, you will count yourself lucky. But if you imagine that you will rely on the teacher more than 60%, the results may not be impressive for you, the young ones. And we know you may now imagine that there's still a lot of time. There is no time. Once you enter Form 1, the syllabus begins. So the hard work begins. And most of the time you are in school, be your own prefect. Don't give the teachers hard time looking for after you here and there. Be your own prefect. Discipline yourself. Organize yourself how you read. And here also comes a challenge to the young ones. You must learn. You must be interested in all the subjects. Don't just think that the arts alone will make you pass. When it comes to clustering, the sciences matter. And particularly the mathematics, which we know is feared by most candidates and is very critical. Apart from mathematics, there is also the physics that has a lot of areas when you want to now go for any professor in this country. Yeah, I'm taking a lot of time, but the lesson is a lot depends on you to pass, get good grade, to give the teachers easy time when in school. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you so much, Honorable Zach. I think I want to assume that Honorable Waiko has spoken on behalf of all Western Gishu people and all the members and even the neighbors and the friends and the teachers in the house. So I want us to proceed. I propose only two people. He has ably represented the members, Honorable Zach.
Bwana Speaker, wacha niongee kwa Kiswahili kwa sababu
endelea basi.
Asante sana. Asante sana Bwana Speaker kwa kunipatia fursa hii, na ningependa niongee kwa Kiswahili kwa sababu hao wanafunzi pengine wanaweza sema watu wa kutoka Kisumu County hawaelewi ama hawapendi kuongea lugha ya Kiswahili. Na Bwana Mwenyekiti, ningependa kukupongeza kwa sababu Kisumu County imekuwa county moja ambayo inakaribisha wanafunzi ili wakuje kuona vile tuna endeza mambo yetu katika County Assembly ya Kisumu. Bwana Speaker, ningependa kuambia wanafunzi ya kuwa wako na bahati sana. Sisi hatukupata fursa kama hii kuenda kutembelea sehemu za majadiliano ama bunge, kwa sababu bunge ilikuwa ni moja tu na ilikuwa Kisumu, ilikuwa Nairobi. Na hiyo bunge kupata fursa kama hii kuenda kuona vile wanaendeleza kazi ya ubunge ilikuwa ni balaa kabisa. Na ningependa kusema hii kwa sababu nikisema hivi ningependa wajue ya kwamba wale ambao walipigania ugatuzi, wengi wao ama mmoja wao bado yuko, na ningependa wajue ya kwamba hii ugatuzi haikukuja tu kwa sababu ya kucheka ama kufanya mambo. Hii ugatuzi ilikuja baada ya kupigana na kutafuta vile tunaweza leta ugatuzi katika kaunti zetu. Na moja ya wale ambao walipigania kuleta ugatuzi ni mmoja ambaye anaitwa former Prime Minister Bwana Raila Amolo Odinga. Kwa hivyo bado tunapongeza na tunasema hiyo kazi alifanya inafanya watoto ama wanafunzi wengi wanapata nafasi ya kwenda kuona vile kazi ya ubunge inafanywa. Kwa hivyo Bwana Spika, asante sana kwa kunipatia fursa hii, na ningesema karibuni na mkaribie, mkaribu kila siku. Asante.
Next order.
Order number 3, messages.
Next order.
Order number 4, petitions.
Next order.
Order number 5, papers.
Next order. Oh, Honorable Henrietta Bodo. What is it, Honorable James Were?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to lay papers on behalf of my able chair, Honorable Henrietta, that pursuant to the provision of orders number 182, section 6 of the standing orders, I wish to table today, Thursday, 14th March 2024, a report on implementation committee on the benchmarking exercise at Kilifi County Assembly. Thank you, Speaker.
Honorable members, the Committee on Implementation Report on the benchmarking exercise with the Committee of Kilifi County Assembly between 11th to 16th November 2023 is properly laid before the House. And I direct that the House Business Committee do consider it for purposes of scheduling for debate. Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Honorable Were.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to give a notice of motion that pursuant to the provision of orders number 45, section 1 of the standing orders, I wish to give a notice of motion that this House adopts a report of implementation committee on the benchmarking exercise at Kilifi County Assembly. Thank you.
Honorable Neraya. What is it, Honorable Jagungu?
I want to give a notice of motion on behalf of Honorable Neraya. She is feeling unwell, Mr. Speaker.
Proceed.
Mr. Speaker, on behalf of Honorable Neraya Okombo, I want to give a notice of motion that pursuant to provisions of orders number 45.1 of the standing orders, I wish to give a notice of motion that this House adopts a motion on the call for proactive disclosure of government information by the county executive.
Next order.
Order number 7, statements.
Statement time. Next order.
Commencement of business. Order number 8, motion on the matter of renewal of contracts for village administrators by the Honorable Moses Ochele.
Honorable Moses Ochele.
Thank you this afternoon, Honorable Speaker. I rise to move a notice of motion on the matter of renewal of contract for village administrators. That aware that the Committee on the Administration of Law, Justice, Good Governance and Constitutional Affairs is currently seized of the matter of recruitment of village administrators pursuant to the expiry of the contracts of the village administrators, which had effect for 3 years beginning 2020. Noting that the committee has had 4 meetings on the subject matter, including a special meeting held on Monday, 11th March 2024 at the chambers, where it interrogated the CCM for county administration on this matter. Acknowledging that the committee has made resolution thereof, some resolutions which, according to the committee, needs immediate and urgent intervention to avoid a crisis that may arise from the failure or delay in the initiating such interventions. And that while the committee has the powers to make resolutions on matters under its deliberation, this honorable House, pursuant to Standing Orders number 193, that is the second schedule, merely delegated its interrogatory powers to the committee, but reserved for itself the decision-making powers in the plenary. Thus, the committee acknowledges that it is not competent to make resolutions stopping and or barring executive actions, as such powers are preserved for this House. Further acknowledging that the standing orders requires chairperson on behalf of the committee to move a motion on the matter requiring plenary resolutions, and that based on this urgency of this subject matter, the import of the committee solution in its special meeting held on 11th March 2024, this Honorable House is invited to make its solution and or objection on the matter for urgent and immediate execution action. Cognizant that the contractual terms of the village administrators expired in or around November 2023, and that upon the expiry of the contracts, the County Public Service Board extended the terms of employment of the village administrators for a further 3 months to allow for recruitment of village administrators in accordance with the law. And that the extension of the contracts for a further 3 months expired on or about February 2024, and the CCM member for county administration, while letter dated 4th March 2024, wrote to the Secretary of the County Public Service Board requesting the board to extend the contracts of the village administrators for a further 3 months, citing fears of crises that may be created by the absence of the village administrators during the period of recruitment. Deeply concerned that, despite of the first extension of the contract, the County Public Service Board and the CCM member for county administration had not provided sufficient and competent reasons why the County Public Service Board had failed to recruit within the set timelines, and has instead re-extended the contracts for another 3 months in utter disregard of the provisions of the law. The requirements of the Employment Act 2007, as revised in 2022, provides that recruitment upon expiry of a contract must be initiated at least 3 months before expiry of such contract and not after expiry. And that the circumstances that may necessitate extension of contracts are clearly spelled at law, and the same does not depend on the pleasure of employer. Now, therefore, in order to fulfill the requirements of the Constitution, the relevant laws, I pray that this Assembly do resolve A, that the extension of the contract of the village administrators be terminated and recruitment of the village administrators for new terms be completed within 21 days upon adoption of this report. B, that the County Public Service Board and the County Secretary be investigated and liability be established on the delay and continuous blatant abuse of provisions of the law. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I wish to call upon Honorable Ruben Rakwach, the Vice Chair, to second. I move.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, sir. Honorable Speaker, sir, I stand to second the motion, which is touching on the recruitment of village administration. And Honorable Speaker, I wish to state that respect for law is very key while we discharge our duties, especially in the public offices and duties which go with public finances. Honorable Speaker, in the County Government Act 2012, Section 52, it states that a village administrator shall have professional qualification and technical knowledge in administration and shall be appointed by the County Public Service Board in accordance with the provision of this Act. Honorable Speaker, there is nowhere in this Act written that the term shall be extended for 3 months and again for another 3 months. It's only written that the village administration can be recruited on a contract for 3 years, which is renewable, meaning that if the contracts were to be renewed, then it is being renewed for another 3 months, for another 3 years, but not the 3 months. So we don't know where the 3 months are coming from. At the same time, we passed an act here for village administration. This act stated well, I think it was passed in the month of October last year, that the CEC member for public service and county administration to prepare a regulation which will help in the establishment and operationalization of village council. And this village council, the village administrator should be the chairman of the village council. So, Honorable Speaker, we are in a situation whereby it is like a board. You have a chairman whose tenure is being renewed for 3 months every day, and the board members are not there. So how will the chairman discharge his duties without the members? And remember, this act has provided for establishment of village council. This village council will recruit or will employ 10 Kenyans in every ward. 10 Kenyans in every ward. And we are crying that we don't have employment in Kenya. And we are taking time with such an important thing, honorable members. And then you realize that when the term of village administrators is extended for 3 months, even the village administrators themselves are disadvantaged, Honorable Speaker. Because with a contract of 3 months, and it is being issued, when 1 month is gone, you are only left with 2 months. You cannot even take a bank loan with that contract. Now you can see the benefits that we are missing. At the same time, sometimes these officers work in fear because there are a lot of uncertainties. You are in the office for 1 month, you've not seen a renewed contract of 3 months. When it comes, you only have 2 months, and you are not sure whether it will be renewed again. So we call upon the County Public Service Board to act with speed so that
they can employ the village administrators substantially. And then you realize that these are positions that were advertised in the month of November last year. Now we are in March. It means that it has taken 4 months. 4 months, 70 village administrators have not been employed, but advertisement has been done. How long does it take this board to employ, Honorable Speaker? And then this one brings a question of competency. If they 4 months have gone, they have not employed, and they are getting salary, Honorable Speaker, we have to really guard how we are spending the taxpayers, Honorable Speaker. With those few remarks, I second the motion. Thank you.
Honorable members, now that a motion, the matter of renewal of a contract for village administrators have been moved, seconded, I want to propose a question, and I propose that the motion is open for debate. Honorable Beni Peter Iko.
Mr. Speaker, my attention is brought to the matter of village admins in Kisumu County, whose positions had been advertised last year. Then it looks the exercise is not yet complete. They were given a contract of 3 months, expired. Another 3 months have been given as per this report. Then, Mr. Speaker, your professional principles of employment is needed here. If it is an employment matter that is being discussed on this matter, this is not the right committee to bring it before this House. Just as you did yesterday on the advice of the President that the standing orders should be changed so that the county executive committee members are invited here to answer questions. And in your advice, Honorable Obonyo was made to make that proposed amendment to the procedure and rule committee. The same way, Mr. Speaker, this matter, a statement should have been raised on this in this House, and you commit to Labor Committee, because these are employment matters. The Labor Committee to go do investigation, present the report to the Assembly to make its decision. But the committee inviting the Waziri in a meeting and coming up with this decision for the House to make a decision, Mr. Speaker, that need to be looked into. Let adjourn this, a statement to be made, committed to Labor Committee to make its findings, brought to this House, then we chat the way. That is my advice.
What is the point of order?
Mr. Speaker, I find Honorable Member for Kabonyo Kanyagwal completely out of order, and it seems he does not understand the role derived from the name of this committee. The committee is in charge of justice. We are talking about justice for these Kenyans called village administrators. Why are they faced with this challenge of uncertainty? That is the role of this committee, number one. Number two, there is inconsistency in administration of law. Wherever there is inconsistency in administration of law, that is not labor, that is this committee. we are concerned with good governance. The senior civil servants must show that they govern this county in relation to the provided laws. So I think, Honorable Member, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Iko sometimes should take his time to understand some of these common understandings within this House. Otherwise, thank you.
Honorable Benny Pete.
Mr. Speaker, at times we become anxious with our roles and the committees we lead, which is not bad. But principally at the level where this matter is, it is a matter of employment. And when it reaches a level of a matter of employment, the right channel not being followed, it is the Labor Committee to handle. That is what it is. We can go round, but there are examples in this country where employment has been done by the executive, the assembly failed, the executive did not follow the right procedure. An example is the Nakuru County during the first assembly, when there was mass employment and the assembly felt aggrieved, the public felt aggrieved. A statement was raised on the floor of the House and it was committed to Labor Committee that and came out with its finding, and the assembly passed a resolution. That is what I'm saying. There is the role of the Law Justice Committee.
What is it, Representative?
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I see the Honorable Member continue to mislead this House. I mean, we are in motions. This is a motion that was discussed in the House business and approved for discussion in the floor of the House. Discussion in the floor of the House overrides even decisions of a committee. And any member in this House is allowed to bring a motion, whether it's a member of a committee or not. As long as you are a member of county assembly, you can bring a motion in this floor and we can discuss, agree with it or not. So I think the honorable member might have his other procedures, but I think he should know that this is a motion that has been brought by a member, seconded, and we are discussing it. He can only agree with the motion or disagree with the motion. That's what he needs to tell us. We don't need any further advice from him because the motion has been approved and we are discussing. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, let me give guidance on the point of order raised by Honorable Moses Ochele. I want to associate with what Honorable Seth Okuma said. This motion passed to the House Business Committee. It is not a committee motion. It is a motion by Honorable Moses Ochele. And when the motion comes, in our standing order, we have provisions for rules for debate. Once the motion comes, we only have two options, either to agree with it or to disagree with it. But the third option that is available is to put an amendment to it. You can propose, you can make recommendations on it as per our standing order. But as at now, this motion is before the House. You can agree with Honorable Moses Ochele or disagree with Moses Ochele. When it comes to the time of putting a questions, which means division, then minority will have their say and the majority will have their way. That is what we mean by debate. The only thing I can do, if it is here and procedurally, or maybe the members are going outside what is not procedural, it is my responsibility to guide. But as at now, the motion is properly before the House, and the members should debate, pegging their debates or being guided by the standing orders of Kisumu County Assembly. I had noticed, was it Honorable Nyaoke?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, allow me first to thank a lot of thanks to honorable members for the prayers that they rendered to me when I got into an accident. I want to appreciate you also because you made a call to me and we talked. and that one was encouraging, and plus many other members. And I would only wish to say that we continue to pray for each of us so that God can be able to take care of us wherever we walk, wherever we go, wherever we live. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to just speak a little bit about this motion which has been brought by the chairman of JOLAC, my friend, Honorable Ochele. Mr. Speaker, I was almost saying, but it is good that you have given a ruling, that in my thinking, even if the chair for Labor or Committee of Labor would have taken this issue, I'm certainly sure at some point they would have ended to the JLAC committee, because there is a lot of inconsistencies in the way the law was applied in this particular case, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, at one point I did mention here that I think maybe sometimes some members from the executive don't consider the existence of this good house, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, and I'm happy that I've been following, even in my absence, the way things are taking shape in this house, Mr. Speaker, and I'm certainly sure that we are going to head somewhere for a better place. Mr. Speaker, you look at this issue of employment of village administrators and so on and so forth. Their term first expired in November 2023. Mr. Speaker, even before their term came to an end, already there was an existing office who I'm sure were aware of the conditions and the terms of employment of those particular employees, Mr. Speaker. But failure to do the recruitment at the right time led to the extension of some 3 months, Mr. Speaker. The extension of the 3 months which were given was supposedly to allow the time to do a new recruitment. Then, Mr. Speaker, the 3 months ended, and again, somebody else again thought it wise to give another extension of 3 months. Mr. Speaker, if we don't stop this kind of behavior, these people may still be in office for the next 1 or 2 years, in the pretext that they're being given 3 months extension of time. Mr. Speaker, this is something that I want to implore upon this House, that we adopt this report, and as I can see, the recommendation is clearly set out by the motion mover, that the recruitment should now be done within the next 21 days after we adopt this motion. Mr. Speaker, I beg that we adopt this motion and see the things moving, that within these 21 days, we shall have the people we need to have in the office. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to support.
Honorable Nerea.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also rise to support this motion. Mr. Speaker, I'm looking at the prayers of the motion mover. And Mr. Speaker, his wish number 1 is that the extension of the contracts be terminated and new administration be in place for the next, within the next 21 days upon adoption of this report, of this motion. Mr. Speaker, we all know that this same office is not a very small office. Last week or the other week, this office was involved in the recruitment of road maintenance committee members, issuance of forms for applicants, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if these admins are illegally in office, then that only says that even the exercise that they undertook also becomes null and void. Mr. Speaker, it is improper that we operate with administrators whose term had expired. So it is very much in order that the motion mover is appealing that we adopt this motion to enable the board put in place substantive admins within the next 21 days. Mr. Speaker, I want to beseech members to support so that legally recruited members are put in office to ensure that the devolved units are run constitutionally. Otherwise, Honorable Speaker, I support.
Komudo.
Many thanks, Honorable Speaker. Again, many thanks to honorable members. Once more, I am privileged to comment on this noble and very noble report presented by the chair of the JLI committee. Indeed, it is overdue, honorable members. We are discussing issues which are quite illegal, and this is a very organized structure, a very organized house. We are discussing issues of unnecessary extensions. We are discussing issues of somebody trying to offer employment through the back door. Honorable Speaker, together with the honorable members, we do not know exactly what happens when some people are called overnight and they're told, you know, I'm going to favor you once more and I'm going to extend this thing for further 3 months. I think we are putting very important offices at stake. The village admins elsewhere in this country should be considered very vital people in the whole system of the county government structure. For this matter and for these calls, I tend to agree with the suggestions as put on by the Chair JLAC that we do away with this unscrupulous structure that is being put through the back door and do away with this completely as we get to organized structure so that, and that should happen within the next 21 days as put in number 2. I support the motion. I support the motion, and many thanks once more to Honorable Speaker and to Honorable members. Thank you.
Honorable Lumumba Wade.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the motion. Mr. Speaker, the motion before this House touches on very many matters and issues. Not only labor has been insinuated, but it touches gravely on the public's rights. Mr. Speaker, when these people were employed, they were employed on contract of 3 years. Come to think of those people who are waiting for the advertisement to be recruited for the next term, the anxiety that they are going through, and expecting that when the job will be advertised, they may get an opportunity to apply and be appointed. Mr. Speaker, Section 207 of the Employment Act provide for only 1 term extension for 3 months. To extend for more than 3 months, it is illegal, and our duty here is to ensure that we stop such illegalities. Mr. Speaker, it is creating or pushing for other people's employment through the back door. Us as an assembly, we cannot accept this kind of behavior. We condemn it. But above all, Mr. Speaker, much as they are in office illegally, this can create more problems to this county when the matter is taken to court and somebody claims that these people are earning illegally. Once they are in office and earning illegally, then even their earning is also illegal. Why should this House sit and watch when an illegality is being practiced in broad daylight? Mr. Speaker, I appeal to members in this House to support this motion in totality. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Zan Kukoyo.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker.
Honorable, switch off your microphone.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also rise to support this motion, Mr. Speaker, and I think it has come at the right time. It has been rightly brought to the Assembly. And Mr. Speaker, legislation is a mandatory role to this House. And Mr. Speaker, I wonder why we want or we can sit and see somebody breaking the laws which are supposed to be followed. We as the members of the Assembly, we cannot just sit and see the office bearers being in the office with illegality. That is, they are in the office and their term has ended. Mr. Speaker, what I wanted to appeal, because this one, my colleague has brought it very well, and that is the chair of JLAC. My appeal, Mr. Speaker, is to ask if the Labour Committee and the Social Welfare can also be committed so that we see the two committees could see where the problem is. That is only my appeal, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Honorable Dede.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also rise to support the motion on the floor. First of all, while the village admins were being recruited, they followed the correct procedure. There was an advertisement, there was long listing, short listing, and then there was appointing. After the appointment, they were approved by the assembly to serve in a term of 3 years. Serving in 3 years, by the time of appointment or approval, they knew that at that particular time, they came into the office. They knew that in the next 3 years, at that particular point, then they were placed in the office. They knew that their time was going to elapse. And to the appointing officers who did it, knew it very well that at that particular time, they'll need to do the necessary of getting another officers in the office. I think a regulation was to be made whereby those who were in the office might be extended the term. But upon the end of their contract by November, they should be back at home. Even though they are serving, they are our members from the community, they are our brothers, our sisters serving in the lower cadre on the offices. It's good they've been serving as well. But of late, I know their role is to at least assist the executive in the activities are going at the ground. But of late, since their offices were extended, you might see that in other areas, there are areas where disasters have been, but even the executive itself doesn't understand that what a particular activity is taking place at the world level, at the village level. And to extend the office of the village admins, I think it's not procedural, because even if the village council was included just the other time, they have not been in place. Why to worry with the village admins to be in the office? If they are competent enough, we allow them. By the time the posts were advertised, perhaps others also came and applied for the post. Being that they are competent, let them face the process they faced the other time to be in the office in a legal way. With that, Mr. Speaker, I said that given that the village admins are in the office, they are in a legal way, the office should be disbanded, then we get the ones who are supposed to be in the office. Even if they themselves, they come again, but they follow the correct procedure of being in the office such that all the activities to be done. And my worry is to differentiate the roles of the CEC member for administration and the public service board. Is it procedural that the CEC member writes to the Public Service Board to extend? And what's the role of the Public Service Board with us here? With a few remarks, I get started by saying, let the village admins go home, the correct recruitment be done, and we absorb the new ones, even if they're being renewed. Even if they come to the office again, let them come to the office, but through a proper structure, and they be served the electors. Otherwise, thank you.
Honorable Tom Onditi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, listening to the chair reading the motion before the House, you get that, Mr. Speaker, there is a growing culture of unethical governance, blatant refusal to follow the rule of the law by the people who are charged with the responsibility to protect that law. Mr. Speaker, if this House cannot come, because we are the gatekeepers of the public, if we cannot come, force these people to protect the law, Mr. Speaker, nobody is out there to protect the public. It's not about the existing or the people, the current village admin whose terms have been extended. But it's also an injustice to those people who have applied and are anxiously waiting for the process to go to its logical conclusion. Mr. Speaker, what was the reason for advertising for this thing if these people knew very well that there was room to extend the term or the period for this current village admin to serve for another 9 months or 6 months or 12 months? They would have not advertised it, because then people took their time, applied, and anxiously waiting outside here to be called out, shortlisted for interview. If you can see the number of phone calls that members of this county assembly get from people who applied, some of them are being told that, oh, the recruitment were done a long time ago, and they're wondering where this took place. So, Mr. Speaker, this House must come out in full force and protect the rule of law, so that those who are charged with the responsibility to administer or protect those laws must do the right thing. Otherwise, the head should roll. Otherwise, thank you so much, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable James Were.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also rise to support the motion. Mr. Speaker, it is clear that the board saw that there was a need of doing a proper recruitment. That's why they placed advertisement on our dailies. Mr. Speaker, that due process must be followed, and Mr. Speaker, this honorable House must act so that the board know that they are not supposed to be a rogue board that can do whatever they so wish. Mr. Speaker, the board should be summoned so that they respond to the critical demand of this House, so that they can tell the House where the stage where they have reached, and they should tell the House the reason why, instead of recruiting, the reason why they are extending, they keep on extending the terms of office of the village admins. Mr. Speaker, I think if we don't solve this puzzle, then the president will be set. And when the president is set, the board will continue doing what they so want and what they so wish, that even assembly will not play oversight over them. Otherwise, I beg to support. Thank you.
Honorable Kelvin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I want to thank my brother, Honorable Ochele, who had a very powerful committee of the Assembly known as Justice and Legal Affairs, for this motion that he has brought before the House for discussion. Reading his motion well, he knows that the committee does not have the power to terminate, and he believes that this House has a lot of power in making such a decision that can actually make the county to act, and especially the county secretary to withdraw maybe letters. Rising to support this motion, I always don't like to talk about many things about county government by virtue of how things work. If today you are to inquire about a position of the Secretary of Service Board, you will be told that somebody is acting under that capacity. As a student or as somebody who is a lawmaker today, I'm trying to look at some of the relevant statutes where we can talk about somebody acting as a secretary. And apart from that, if you talk about maybe the composition of the service board, I believe that the 5 years is almost going to an end, and a new service board with time should be in place, Mr. Speaker. So in this issue of village administrators, you are aware that the service board knew that the contract of the said called village administrators was coming to an end. Nothing was done in preparation for the new team that was supposed to be employed, or if they were to confirm them. By the time we sat down in this assembly, we were told during the time we were making amendment on the act that actually they were going to do something by early January or February, and for that reason, there was an extension of contract. I don't know why they chose 3 months as a team. It was so unfortunate that after saying or giving them a letter of 3 months, to later come back and extend it for another 3 months. I believe that after the motion, the way Honorable Were has said, the service board need to explain to the Committee of Labor and maybe a joint committee that you are going to choose, Mr. Speaker, why have a small plan. If they knew that they could do the recruitment within 6 months, they could have planned for 6 months. But those short notice of 3 months does not augur well, and it is not in good faith. So for that reason, Mr. Speaker, I don't know, maybe you'll advise at the end of it all, if we have the power to terminate or even report back to the county secretary that the letters being written are illegal. But I support that this assembly should always stand straight on the matters of the law and support matters of the law, and always let the rule of law apply in Kisumu County. So for that reason, Mr. Speaker, I think the Public Service Board and the County Secretary has a lot to explain and to give a valid reason why they extended the contract. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Ganolema.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, allow me also to contribute to the debate on the floor. Mr. Speaker, I want to bring the attention of the members that the village admins who are working today were given a contract for 3 years. And the law that was passed in this assembly, somewhere in the second assembly, stipulated that it's renewable. It can be renewed, and therefore, I want to agree with the executive that even if they were to do it for 3 years, they are still within the law to do the same.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
I've got 2 points of orders. Let me start with the Honorable Sami.
Mr. Speaker, Honorable Gadolema is naked.
Honorable, maybe such a time you can confirm to me. I can see, Honorable.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think your moderation was just joking. I want to put the attention of the members that, Mr. Speaker,
I was having another standing.
the executive is very right in what they are doing,
Order, Honorable.
and they are allowed to renew the contracts even for the next 3 years.
Order, Honorable God.
Okay.
The Honorable Sami is saying that raising a point of order that the Honorable God Lima is naked. I am able to notice that Honorable Boyton is seated next to Honorable God Lima. Are you able to confirm?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I confirm that Honorable Gado Lima is properly dressed. Thank you.
Honorable Seth, what is the point of order?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, on statement of facts, the Honorable Gado Lima has just said that we have a law in this county that gave room for renewal of the contracts of the village admins. Honorable Speaker, if I remember so well, we gave, and I was in the second assembly when we were passing the act, it was a 3-year contract. A 3-year contract. Honorable Speaker, I don't know if it's right for the honorable member to say that it was renewable. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
A point of order, Mr. Speaker.
On the same note?
On the same note, Mr. Speaker.
What is this point of order?
Mr. Speaker, statement of facts. It was a 3-year contract, and it does not state renewable ones, renewable how many times? See, so it gives room. It gives room for the executive to make the final decision. Because if you were not clear on how long the village admin will serve in the office, and the 3 years is just left hanging without clear definition, then the executive will carry the day. Thank you.
Olema?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
This is a point of order, Honorable Ochele.
Mr. Speaker, I find Honorable Benio Iko trying to mislead the House.
Honorable Moses Ochele, you are the...
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, I'm giving the fact. Mr. Speaker, when a law is...
Honorable Chele, you know you are the mover of the motion. And if you look at our standing order, not the standing order, but the order paper today, if you look at page 84 of our order papers, today's order paper, I think, is the 3rd page. But in our order papers is page 84. There is a notice there on limitation of debates. And I think you have the highest number of minutes. So you can take notes and you will have time to reply. But Honorable Gado Lima, there is a point of order on statement of facts in regards to the act in terms of renewal. So please, if that's not the truth, then you need to withdraw. If it's the truth, then you need to substantiate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I think I'm very clear that when we passed the motion, the bill in this House, sections of the bill, the governor rejected, and they were brought back to this House for amendment or being repealed. I can remember very well we did a vote in this House, which was very acrimonious. And the members had their way against the governor's wish, and today we have that law and is what is functioning. I want to tell my honorable members in this House that the law is very clear and allows the executive to renew those contracts without consultation. Because at the first point, when we agreed as members and made a law and made the act that is now working, that the village admins were to be brought to this House for approval. Through the leadership of this House then, the members were employed, given the contracts for 3 years, they were never brought in this House. The leadership allowed that to go, and now it's a precedence. That is now even why the executive is very clear to bring those names without consulting the assembly. Because the law was very clear that we must bring the village admins to this House to be vetted and approved. That is what we passed in this House. And the governor did reject that bill and brought it back to this house. The majority members voted against the governor's wish, and we took it the way it was back. But it was never implemented. Mr. Speaker, I want to tell this honorable house that by then we were being seen as against the government of the day. And me, who is sitting here today, I was the village admin that was employed in my ward was my former MCA, who we competed with in 2017. So it was brought to ensure that I don't work. That was the intention of the members and most of the members who were in this house. And that is the same thing that is happening today. And so you have to bite the bullet and live by that, because it's a precedence that has been set. I agree with the executive that they can renew those contracts even for the next.
Honorable Nerea.
Mr. Speaker, I'm still rising on standing order number 89, that it is not factual that the executive are allowed by law to renew as many times as they want. Mr. Speaker, the Employment Act only provides for one term renewal. And Mr. Speaker, looking at section 34 of the Public Service Commission Act, which is superior to the act that we enacted as a county, Mr. Speaker, requires that notification be given to the vetting body within 6 months prior to the expiry, not after the expiry of time. So, Mr. Speaker, the motion is properly under discussion, and I want to say that my friend Honorable Gad may be comparing what was there in the past assembly and now, but it is not proper that he misleads the House that the executive are now, because some laws were not followed, are now right to extend the term of administration as long as they want. Mr. Speaker, two wrongs don't make a right. This House is here to do what is right, and if something was not done right once, then it is in order for this House to put things in order once and for all. Thank you.
Honorable Gad, before you proceed, let me guide the members. I don't know who has, if you have the act with you. If you look at section 10.3, it provides for a contract of 3 years, renewable. Section 10.3, a contract of 3 years, renewable. So, Honorable Gad, I think you are guided. You are still on the floor. And please take consideration of the notices in terms of limitation of time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the guidance and giving members the facts, because some people talk out of, I don't know whether it's omission or commission. But, Mr. Speaker, the number of times, so long as within 3 years, is allowed for the executive to do that. What deters them from giving the full contract is better known to them, who are the employers. And that's why we have the County Public Service Commission board to do the same. So, Mr. Speaker, I don't want to agree with the members who are saying that the executive or the county secretary has done a wrong thing. They are within the mandate because the office can never be vacant. Those are the governors on the ground. And Mr.
Speaker, we are talking about the extension and not the renewal.
Mr. Speaker. Honorable Lumumba, are you on a point of order or you are debating? Because what is the point of order?
The House and the Speaker on the extension and not the renewal.
Honorable Gad,
Mr. Speaker,
I think you have around, you can have 2 minutes.
Thank you. I'll take the shortest time possible. I want to advise my colleague that that's just English. Extension and renewal just English. The issue here is those people are in the office that they were before. Whether it's renewal or extended, that is being English to us. The question is, if these people talk of the same today, we have an acting county city manager who has been acting for the last 6 years. Who in this house have asked why he's acting always, given extension of every 1 year. Mr. Speaker, the executive is within the mandate to extend that contract so long as it is within 3 years. If they go after the 6th year, that's when we can now question and demand to know why they extended outside the constitution of this county government. And as per now, even if they were to do it for 6 months, 6 months, 6 months, they are within the mandate and they are okay within the law that was passed within this house. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That is my submission.
A point of order, Mr. Speaker.
What is the point of order, Honorable Benny Petaiko?
Mr. Speaker, we are also on a learning expedition. So that when a bill comes here...
What is the point of order?
Mr. Speaker, just give me a little time. We should be a little more careful. Mr. Speaker,
Honorable Benny Pete.
You have helped the House by reading the article.
Honorable Benny Pete, you had debated. If you have any fact that you want to debate further, you can. We are also competing with time. We did a limitation on time. So I gave you because you told me you are on a point of order, Honorable Benny. But you are not telling me the point of order.
The point of order, Honorable Speaker, you have cleared it to the House. That is 3 years renewal.
Honorable Benny, I rule you out of order. Please resume your seat. Why are you nowadays fond of trying to sneak yourself back
Mr. Speaker,
into a debate?
Mr. Speaker,
what is it, Honorable?
Under statement of fact point, standing order number 89, your ruling on the chair was quite clear that, and it even changed the motion, because when the executive asked the leeway to renew, then they're in order even to extend the contract. So I see it that maybe a proper research was not done, and if that is the case, then it changes the entire intention and the spirit of this motion, Mr. Speaker.
What is the point, Honorable Kelvin?
Why do we discuss a motion that passed through you and you knew that there was such a serious point that was noted in that bill, and now we look like we don't know what we were doing initially, Mr. Speaker?
Honorable Kelvin, I think I want to rule you out of order. I made a ruling here that the motion is properly before the House, not as the committee. Because what was the point of contention was that it came as the committee of JLAC. And I said the motion is a member motion brought by Honorable Moses Chair. I think you came a bit late. I think you would have heard that one very well. Number two, what we are debating, you either agree with the prayers or not. We are almost coming to the conclusion that we'll put a question. And the question will see the motion either being adopted or rejected. So please, let's proceed within the motion. I noticed Honorable, was it Honorable Boyton?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the energy level had already gone down. You know, we are fasting. We are in the holy month of Ramadan. I wanted to speak at that particular time, but now the energy level has gone down. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Chief Whip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to contribute on this motion by the Honorable Moses Ochele, who happens to be the chair of JLAC. Mr. Speaker, for the Honorable Ochele to bring this matter before this House, I believe as a committee, and Mr. Speaker, I went further to call upon the Vice Chair to second this motion. Even though he has brought it as a member of this House, it seems there are areas where they have discussed as a committee and found not to be inconsistent with the law. And the guys highlighted them, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I am speaking now as Honorable Setu Chinkanga, MC of Market Vilimani Ward, and not as the Chief Whip. You have to take that. Mr. Speaker, it's only last year when, as an assembly, we vetted the members of the city board. And this year, early, 13th of February, a petition was filed in the High Court, in the Labor Relations Court. And I believe it is Monday or Friday, when the courts found out that the governor, together with the county assembly, went against the law. And it is in the public domain, whereby the court ordered for fresh recruitment of the city board members. Mr. Speaker, a red flag has been raised on the proceedings of this assembly and on the conduct of the governor together with the county executive while they are executing their mandate bestowed upon them by the people. We should not go that way again, Mr. Speaker. When the law says this, that is what should be done, Mr. Speaker. Extensions have been made, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is the only county whereby extensions have been done to several officers, not even the city manager alone, but several officers, Mr. Speaker. We have been beneficial because none of the residents have gone to court. Now that the Honorable Ochele has brought up a very good motion for the betterment of this county, Mr. Speaker, we should communicate to the relevant authorities and tell them and highlight to them issues as earlier mentioned by the honorable members in this house, Mr. Speaker, and tell the governor that this is the position of the house, this is the law, this is the requirement, this is what we should do, so that we don't find ourselves in a similar situation where we vetted members of the city board contrary to the law. And the High Court has reaffirmed that, Mr. Speaker. So that's a wake-up call for this county government, for this house, so that we may straighten things. As Honorable Chele has said it, nothing has been done, but those extensions should be stopped. The residents of Kisumu were asked to apply. People applied, shortlisting was done. What is happening? And I sent back the work to the labor committee. The labor committee should summon this gentleman, the Honorable Chair, even if it's a joint committee of the labor and JLAC. There's no problem. There's no law stopping the two committees from working together to ensure that the law is followed, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, those are my contributions. And I also applaud the members, the honorable members in this house, for seeing it necessary to bring these matters and support the Honorable Chele so that what is required in law is applied. Otherwise, thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I see no other. Honorable Sami, no, you are on a point of you are not contributing.
Mr. Speaker, may I call the motor reply?
Honorable Chele.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, may I first start by commending the members who have debated positively and those who have debated otherwise. Mr. Speaker, I get courage and honor that member for Market Milimani Ward who spoke at his own capacity as honorable member for Market Milimani has supported the motion with a lot of strength. And Mr. Speaker, you cannot disabuse the member for Market Milimani, Honorable Seth Kanga, from being the chief whip. Chief whip and the member for Market with Money is one and the same thing until the party shall dictate otherwise. So thank you, Bwana Whip, for the support. It is true that the leadership is with the members, is with the members of the assembly to strengthen where matters might go wrong. Mr. Speaker, when we are discussing the job position of the village administrators, we are talking about Kenyans, young Kenyans who were given opportunity to serve this county in the capacity that they've been serving, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, this Honorable House indeed gave the officers chance to serve for 3 years. And then by the dictates of law, Mr. Speaker, it was not by default, but by design that their contract ends at the end of the 3rd year. And Mr. Speaker, the law, the county law on village administration does not give any purview of extension of any number of time. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I heard Honorable Gado Lima talk of semantics, that extension and renewal are same, and that they are just English. Mr. Speaker, when you talk of renewal, if you are to renew a contract, that means you do it afresh the same way it was done yesterday. But when you talk of extension, extension might not be definite. We can talk of extension by 1 week, 2 months, or even 6 months. So these terminologies are different, and here, Mr. Speaker, the case in point is not about renewal. We are not contesting anything about renewal. We are contesting these dubious extensions. The extensions must be stopped. The service board must get down and work endlessly to ensure that any qualified Kenyan for this position, Mr. Speaker, gets definite term of service. Mr. Speaker, some people may think that some members or this house is against somebody. How about, Mr. Speaker, if this officer is your son? He has been on contract for 3 years. 3 years you can even use your salary to take a loan. But when you are exposed to uncertainty where every 3 months, Mr. Speaker, this officer lacks stability, and then the concentration of this officer might go low. We are fighting for these officers to be given contracts for 3 years so that they can stabilize themselves and concentrate fully on their job capacity, their jobs. Mr. Speaker, there is also an element of incompetency. These positions were advertised in November, Mr. Speaker. The structure of recruitment might be having lapse. They requested that the term of these officers be extended by 3 months to allow them complete the exercise of recruitment. Mr. Speaker, I wonder what went down with them that they are now seeking for a further 3 months. Mr. Speaker, when the CCM for administration was here, she laid a paper before the committee of JLAC that she indeed indicated on 29th March that the extension be carried out. And with the response on 4th from the service board, Mr. Speaker, explained that the board is in the process of conducting interviews, and they later indicated that the interviews will run as from 29th March to 4th of April. Mr. Speaker, if they have planned for interviews between 29th March and 4th of April, we don't see the need for extension. They just sit down, conduct the interviews, release letters for those who are successful. Mr. Speaker, the service board, I've heard members talk of service board should be invited. Service board have been invited, while the meeting held on 21st, but while the meeting held on 11th this week, and Mr. Speaker, they have also been invited by the statement raised, which you given to the Labour Committee. So, Mr. Speaker, members will have time to ask these other questions. But today, our main concern is the termination of the letters of extension. Finally, Mr. Speaker, it is very absurd for a member to insinuate that this House went against the governor's wish in matter of doing the legislation on the village administration bill. Mr. Speaker, the amendment bill was sent to this assembly from the executive. Members got time to ventilate and came up with a compromise resolution on the bill. Mr. Speaker, it was sent to the governor. The governor went through it and assented to it. Governor, who is Professor Peter Nyang'nyuk, cannot assent to anything that he does not want to assent to. So by assuming that the governor, somebody is fighting the governor, then we can turn it on you because we know the position you stand. You are not with the governor. Now you want to kind of cleanse yourself that the governor is being fought. Nobody is fighting the governor. The governor is very comfortable with the legislations from this assembly. Finally, Mr. Speaker, it is my prayer that this House adopts these resolutions, and more specifically, the resolution that these letters be withdrawn and the extension terminated, and we give Service Board 21 working days from today so that they actually do proper recruitment. We want everything else to be done within the law, because it is embarrassing, Mr. Speaker, that certain things we do which are quashed by the court. If you can state them today, please, honorable members, let's get to work and state certain things to avoid future embarrassments. Otherwise, thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, now that a motion on the matter of renewal of contracts for village administrators have been presented by Honorable Moses Ochele, seconded by Honorable Ruben Rakwach, debated. As per our standing orders, I want to put a question. And honorable members, I want to make it clear that the question I'm going to put, for those who will say yes, you are agreeing with the prayers of the motion. For those who are saying no, you are disagreeing with the motion. And when there is disagreement, it means the motion dies. When there is agreement, then the prayers are considered and we make communication for action. So I put the question. And I put that as many of the opinion that the motion, the matter of renewal of contracts for village administrators as presented by the comments therein be adopted. Say aye. Aye. As many of the contrary opinions say nay. Nay. The ayes have it. And the motion on the matter of renewal of renewal of contracts for village administrators, with the prayers, one, that the extension of the contracts of the village administrators be terminated and recruitment of village administrators be renewed for new terms be completed within 21 days upon adoption of this motion. And two, that the County Public Service Board, the County Secretary, and the CC member for County Administration be investigated and liability be established on the delay and continuous blatant abuse of the provision of the law. Adopted today, Thursday, the 14th of March, 2024 at 16:06 hours. And I direct that that communication be made to the relevant department, that is through the county secretary, and that the committee of labor and Social Welfare takes up the prayer number 2 immediately and report back to the House within a period of 2 weeks. Next order.
Order number 9, motion on the adoption of the report of Budget and Appropriations Committee on the consideration of the Kisumu County supplementary estimates for the fiscal year 2023-2024 by the Honorable Joachim Okech.
Honorable Joachim Okech.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, today I'm honored to, on behalf of the Committee of Budget and Appropriation, to present the report on Kisumu County supplementary estimates, number 1 for the financial year 2023-2024. So, Mr. Speaker, what I'm going to read here is basically the moving notes, because the report we have is a much bigger report, and members have the opportunity to get the report in their respective pages. We also did submit the report on physical copy to a few of our members. So just to give a brief of the report, I am going to read what we call the moving notes, so that we move a little bit faster. And again, it's a trend we are trying to adopt, so that at least members have the time to go through this in advance, and whoever is submitting the report, maybe to give a short version. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, honorable members, this report of the County Budget and Appropriation Committee on its consideration of the supplementary estimate 1 for the financial year 2023-2024 in line with section 135 and 154 of PFM Act 2012. And the Kisumu County Assembly Standing Orders number 225, which provides that the Kisumu County Assembly consideration and approval of the supplementary estimates. Mr. Speaker, the supplementary estimates 1 was tabled in the County Assembly and duly submitted on Wednesday, 21st February 2024. Immediately the House resumed from its long recess. The estimates were thereafter committed to the County Budget and Appropriation Committee for consideration. Supplementary estimates are aimed at making provisions for any purpose where the amount allocated in the Appropriation Act is insufficient or need has arisen for expenditure that was unforeseen and had therefore not been provided for in the Appropriation Act. Mr. Speaker and honorable members, the supplementary estimate 1 for the financial year 2023-2024 is intended to, 1, to realign the budget estimates with the County Allocation Revenue Act of 2023, and 2, the purpose is to realign the budget vote heads within departments while maintaining the budget ceilings as in the approved budget estimates for financial year 2023-2024. And the third purpose is to review the county revenue projections and make appropriate adjustment. Mr. Speaker, the various adjustments in this supplementary, however, do not shift the programming and development focus of the county government as declared in the Governor's Re-election Manifesto, the CIDP, the County Assembly Development Plan 2023-2024, and approved estimates. In the proposed supplementary estimates, the resource envelope available for allocation among the county sectors comprises of 1, the equitable share of the national revenue maintained at 8,361,797,770. Conditional grants supplemented to 1,597,265,985, being an additional allocation of 1,405,000 for Commonwealth of Learning Credit Information, and additional allocation for finance locally led climate action of 37,500,000. We have a new conditional grant allocation for change maker at 30 million, new conditional grant allocation for transfer of library services at 10,494,779. The opening balance at 1,450,625,819, and on-source projection still stands at 2,282,862,694. Consequently, Mr. Speaker, 31% has been allocated for development expenditure, 30% towards operation and maintenance, and 39% will go towards human resource, Mr. Speaker. The total county government revised expenditure in the supplementary budget adds to 13,692,552,268. Mr. Speaker, on examination of the supplementary estimate, and if you have the report, you go to page 5 of the main report. In the processing this supplementary estimate 1, the financial year 2023-2024, the committee held 8 sittings, including consultative meetings with the respective county departments and the CCM Finance and Economic Planning and ICT. The outcome of these deliberations had informed the various financial and non-financial recommendations which are contained in this report. If approved by this House, Mr. Speaker, these recommendations will form the basis for the passage of the first Kisumu County Supplementary Appropriation Bill for the financial year 2023-2024. And the financial recommendations, Mr. Speaker, if you have the main report, is page 5 to page 8. Based on the deliberations of the committee and the consultative engagements, the committee recommends to this House that 1, approves a total revenue of Kenya shillings 13,692,552,268 for the first county supplementary budget estimate for the financial year 2023-2024 as outlined in Schedule 1. If you have your report, the last pages are arranged in terms of schedules of this report, which is an increment of the total revenue projected in the approved budget, that is 13,613,134,489. The reason why we have the revenues projected as increased is because we have an additional grants, which I just read before, and that totals to 79,417,779. Mr. Speaker, then the financial recommendation here is to approve additional revenue totaling to 79,417,779, being conditional grants, additional allocation, 1, this is for the finance, locally led climate action, that is of Kenya shillings 37,500,000, additional allocation of Kenya shillings 1,405,000 from Commonwealth of Learning Credit Information, new conditional grant allocation for change maker, that is Kenya shillings 30 million, and transfer of library services at 10,494,779, and a revised on-source projection of 18,000. Part 3, Mr. Speaker, approves, again, we are requesting this House, a county expenditure of Kenya shillings 13,692,552,268, which is further allocated to P&E at Kenyan shillings 5,355,255,370, operation and maintenance at Kenyan shillings 4,083,561,006, and development component at Kenyan shillings 4,253,735,892. The total expenditure be appropriated amongst the various county sectors as outlined. Again, you go to Schedule 2 of this report, and should consequently form the basis for preparation of supplementary appropriation bill, which again will go through the second reading, I think, in the next session. A total of 401,298,601 sourced by reallocation of budget lines from the following departments is approved as indicated below. As we are reading, departments sourced for this 401 million within their own budget lines, and they were doing what we call the reallocation. So from this vote to this vote. So the source of funding, and I think you have it in the report, Department of Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries, the approved total was 933,555,700. At the supplementary, the figure for agriculture now goes to 863,172,629, giving a variance of 70,383,071. That is a percentage change of 7.54 in the negative. Department of Medical Services, Public Health and Sanitation, in the approved budget, we had 3,700,000,000 617,238,371. In the supplementary budget, we have 3,605,980,785, giving a variance of 11,257,588, giving a negative variance of 0.31. Sorry. The Department of Trade, Energy, Industry and Tourism, in the approved budget, we had 392,561,667. In the supplementary, we have 309,695,646, giving a variance of negative of 82,866,021 shillings, a negative percentage of negative 21.11. The Department of Sport, Culture, Gender and Youth Affairs had in the approved budget 318,634,644. In the supplementary budget, we have 209,525,161, giving a negative variance, or basically the department has lost 109,109,483, giving a negative percentage of 34.24. I think one of the departments that had lost the largest, but of course you'll understand where that allocation was taken from. Number 5, land, housing, physical planning and urban development. In the approved budget, they had 571,272,041 shillings. In the supplementary, they have 530,401,229, giving a negative variance. Basically, the department has lost 40,870,812, giving a negative variance of, in terms of percentage, 7.15. The Department of Finance and Economic Planning, in the approved budget, we had 2,512,792,793. In the supplementary, they have 2,505,398,946. The department has lost 7,393,847, giving a percentage loss of 0.29. So basically, in terms of all these departments accumulated together, they had a total of, in the approved budget, of 8,346,055,216. In the supplementary, they now have 8,024,174,394. So all the accumulated loss from all these departments totals to 321,880,822. And if you look at the additional revenue streams, being additional allocation for, in terms of revenue, climate change action, just like I read, in the revenue side, we have an increment because now we have money from climate change of 37,500. We had 1.4 million from Commonwealth of Credit. Change Maker, we received 30 million, and again, transfer of library services of 10.4, and a revised on source of 18. So if you add, we are looking at where we got the additional money to supplement for other services that were not planned for in the budget. So one of the areas where we've gotten money are from these grants. Then grants gives us a total of 79,417,779. Then again, internal sourcing from different departments, just as I was reading, we got 321 departments that had reduction. So we had a reduction from different departments totaling to 321,880,822. So 321 million add to the 79 from the conditional grants. So we have total revenue sourced to 401,298,601. So this 401 million is the money to be supplemented. It is the additional money we've gotten from different departments, added together with what we are getting from the grants, gives us a total of 401. Approves the total of total revenue sourced above of 401,298,601 to be applied to the following sectors to be supplemented, to supplement their budgetary deficits. So that part, I was just giving you where we got the money and the departments where were raided to get the additional money. So this part, I'm going to give you the application of the additional money that we have gotten from different departments. So the Department of Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries, in the approved budget, remember they had 933 million, 555,700. So the supplementary totals increases to 947,410,361. So in terms of additional allocation in that department, they have received 13,854,661, giving a percentage change, that is a positive variance of 1.48. City of Kisumu, in the approved budget, they had 760,716,334. In the supplementary, they have a figure of 773,370,983, having an additional allocation of 12,654,649, a percentage change of 1.66. Public Service, County Administration, and Participatory Development and Office of the Governor, in the main budget, they had 1,061,508,114. In the supplementary budget, the proposal is the department to have 1,246,908,144, an additional allocation of 185,400,030 shillings, a percentage increase of 17.47. The Department of Land, Housing, Physical Planning and Urban Development, in the approved budget, they had 571,272,041 shillings. In the supplementary, the proposal is the department to have 630,401,229, giving an additional allocation of 59,129,188, giving a percentage increase of 10.35%. Department of Water, Environment, National Resource, in the approved budget, they had 525,995,646. In the supplementary, the proposal is the department to have 542,726,389, an additional allocation of 16,730,743, giving a percentage increase of 3.18. Part 6, that Kenya shillings 800,000, Mr. Speaker, to be added to the Department of Water, Environment and Natural Resources for the purpose of maintenance of the rig machine, which is a condition that the rig should start working within the next 14 days after approval of the supplementary budget to address the acute water shortage in the county, Mr. Speaker. Part 7, that the CCM Finance and Economic Planning to create a budget line, Mr. Speaker, of Kenya shillings 6.7 million for utilization of funds banked at the Youth Polytechnic bank account, being counterpart contribution for construction of Papothany and Lela VTC, Mr. Speaker. This is to operationalize and create a budget line for this 6.7 million so that the county is able to spend the money. Part 8, Mr. Speaker, Department of Trade, Tourism, Industry and Marketing, that 6 million for purchase of unit verification van be expunged from the supplementary budget and the funds be appropriately reallocated. The department requested deletion of the project on the basis that the amount allocated is less than the market price for a unit verification van. That was the request of the department. Mr. Speaker, Part 9, that is City of Kisumu, that Kenya shillings 37 million request for additional funding to the development expenditure for renovation and additional reconstruction works for Nyamasaria Molem Bus Park is approved by the committee, and I think that is an additional money that goes to my friend Kolwa Central. So I think Kolwa Central is one of the biggest beneficiary in this supplementary budget, Mr. Speaker. 37 million. Part 10, Mr. Speaker, the Department of Public Service, County Administration and Participatory Development and Office of the Governor, that the request of additional funding of 57 million to the development expenditure for additional civil and structural works within the department be approved. Part B, the committee approves 30 million for disaster risk management. And I request to read this again, that the committee approves Kenya shillings 30 million for disaster risk management And part 2, Mr. Speaker, Department of Infrastructure, Energy and Public Works, that the request of Kenya shillings 3 million additional funds to the development expenditure for repair of Sunga Box Culvert is approved. We hear that there's a crisis in that area and there was money already budgeted for the same. But because the culvert had sunk further, so the department requested that for them to be able to procure, they needed an additional of 3 million, and that was requested to the committee. Recommendations on county assembly supplementary. The county assembly just had what we call internal realignments. They did not have any new vote line created, and therefore the House to consider approving the various budgetary reallocation and readjustment in the county assembly supplementary budget 1 for the financial year 2023-2024 of 33,535,180 as outlined in Schedule 3. Look at Schedule 3 so that you understand what the county assembly intends to do with the realigned money. They only had movements within the vote lines. Just like you had members who don't attend the committees, the monies were taken. You heard that Peak Park committee have a lot of work to do. They were under budgeted for. Those are the internal movements. The committee of budget had even monies that had not been paid. That is where the requests were made, and several internal movements within the county assembly. And therefore, if you look at the other schedules, you'll be able to see the working notes for that. Mr. Speaker, we also have other recommendations, and if you have your report, look at page 10 to page 12 of main report. Because, Mr. Speaker, looking at the budget, we also realized that some of the projects had been expunged from the budget. Some of these projects, Mr. Speaker, had even been tendered, and some of them, the works had started in various wards. And again, a key notification that we realized as a committee, that most of the projects that were expunged from the budget, Mr. Speaker, were projects that were categorized as ward-based projects. And these are projects that public participation had been done, Mr. Speaker. The members of the community were waiting for the implementation of these projects, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, one of our major recommendations as a committee was that, one, that all the expunged ward-based projects be reinstated in the supplementary budget estimates. Majority of the expunged projects have been procured, and the committee, hence their removal will attract bitter legal implications or lead to pending bills, which is already a huge burden for the county. Further, majority of these projects, Mr. Speaker, were major priorities of the people and formed key departmental objectives. Hence, will disrupt policy implementation and attract a negative fiscal impact, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, 2 of the non-financial recommendation that in the subsequent submission of budget estimate, the CCM finance and economic planning to ensure that the proposed budget estimate and supplementary budget estimates are accompanied by one sufficient and detailed budget notes in line with the provisions of section 129 to part A of the PFM Act 2012. Part 3, that the procurement plan for the county executive must be approved and submitted to the assembly by 30th of August of every financial year. Further, the procurement planning for development projects must be completed within the 3rd quarter of every financial year to permit effective implementation of the development project. At that part, we are only trying to put emphasis so that some of these development projects should, their documentations should have been completed by either the 2nd or the 3rd quarter, so that we don't have procurement of this development, more so the construction part, taking place up to the 4th quarter. That again creates a lot of pending bill to the county, Mr. Speaker. Thank you. Mr. Speaker, the procurement plan for county executive must be prepared, and I think I've read that. We are going to part 4. The CCM finance and economic planning to promote effective coordination and communication between project execution stakeholders. 1, the relevant sector, public works department and procurement to prevent cases of duplication of projects and other administrative errors, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we had areas where we have duplication of projects. Maybe the names are a little bit twerked here and there, but the overall goal is that they actually serve the same purpose. Part 5, that in the subsequent submission of all statutory budgetary documents being approved by the CC to the Assembly, An addendum of valid minutes adopting the documents must be provided. This will prevent case of denial and dismissal of such documents by some executive committee members. Mr. Speaker, we had several CC members denying having seen even a copy of the supplementary budget. Some of them did not even prepare responses as they were coming to appear before the committee, just on the basis that they had not even seen the supplementary. Some of the CC members did not even know the figures that were approved for their department at the cabinet level, and therefore, to prevent this, the committee feels that we need some valid minutes that also confirms the adoption of this document, so that members of other cabinet should not deny having seen the document and therefore throwing all the tantrums at the CC Finance. Part 6, pending bills continue to pose a challenge, Mr. Speaker, and the CCM Finance and Economic Planning to submit detailed list of all stock of accumulated county pending bills, accompanied with a pending bill repayment plan within 2 weeks of approval of this report. To note that individual departments, 1, Department of Lands, Public Service, Administration, Health and Sanitation have reported payment of pending bills at departmental level, while the county was allocated 1 million towards the effect, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, being aware that this affects most of our recurrent pending bill, of course, it requires that whenever we start a new financial year, the first charge is normally the charge for recurrent pending bill. And therefore, this is posing a challenge because department rush to pay pending bill at the expense of very important actions that are recurrent in nature that will have had. So meaning the various departments get stuck towards the tail end of the financial year, either at quarter 3 or quarter 4. Most of them do not have money for O&M and the operations money, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, we feel that the department should handle this with care. There was also a proposal that going forward, most of the pending bills be paid by the departments, because we realized that because the department have the leeway of each and every year of submitting these pending bills to the Department of Finance, then now they don't take responsibilities of their pending bill. And therefore, the committee was of the idea that going forward, we make it a responsibility of the various departments to pay their own pending bill. And therefore, any allocation that is given to them, the first charge will be towards payment of pending bills. That will, most departments will ensure that they pay their pending bill so that they don't make it a first charge whenever they get new allocation in the new budget. And that was the general feeling of the committee, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in the subsequent budgeting, the Department of Sports, Culture, Gender and Youth Affairs to spread their support to other local county teams without singular concentration on Kisumu All-Stars. The effect will be vast and many talents will be nurtured and developed. Mr. Speaker, when we were interrogating the CEC for the sports, culture and gender, the main reason for funding Kisumu All-Stars was to nurture talent. The committee felt that talents nurturing can be spread even across all the 35 wards in Kisumu County. And therefore, we felt that spending solely over 15 million on one team was being very unfair, because Kisumu also still competes with different teams from different wards, including even teams from Seme. And therefore, we felt that if at all this team, the department has money for sports, then this money should be spread across all the teams in the 35 wards in Kisumu County, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, that is a general feeling that the committee also felt, and we request the members also to support the committee on that, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on adjustment and realignment of some ward-based projects in the supplementary budget, we had some projects that were proposed to be expunged from the budget, Mr. Speaker, and these are projects that the department felt were underfunded, or most of them were categorized as insufficient funds. And therefore, through consultation with various members, some of them had proposed, if the projects were lying within the same department, members had proposed certain projects to be killed, so that the additional funds be given to another project, but within the same department, so that we don't affect the ceiling. We had in the Department of Education, Human Resource Development and ICT, project completion for, Siany PWD Resource Center in Southeast Nyakach, Mr. Speaker. The project had 1 million. The project is a duplicate on this, Mr. Speaker, number 85. Hence, the funds here be reallocated to fencing of Siany Social Hall. I think that was the general feeling of the member. On medical services, public health and sanitation, Mr. Speaker, project number 46, construction of patient waiting bay and equipping of Railways Health Center in Railways Ward. The project was awarded 2 million. The project actual location should be in Market Milimani Ward and not Railways Ward. And I think Honorable Sami was receiving an additional money, and I think my brother will revise those figures again, so that the figure reads Market Milimani for construction of patient waiting bay and equipping of Railways Health Center in Market Milimani. Project number 91, construction of Sigoti Health, I think Health Center, had 1 million. The project be renamed as follows: renovation of Sango Rota Health Center. I think in terms of amendment, we will mention that, but that is the proposal we have in the report. So the member in that particular ward might propose the amendment when he'll be giving the contribution. That is center in West Nyakach Ward. So you'll be able to correct appropriate infrastructure, energy and public works. Project number 46, gabioning on Osiepe Ongadi Road in Kajulu Ward. 1.5, project name be changed as follows: construction of drainage at Osiepe Ongadi Road in Kajulu Ward, 1.5 million. Then again, construction of Kotino footbridge in West Nyakach, 1.2 million. The project be expunged and the funds be reallocated to raise adequate funds for construction of Kambeche footbridge with initial allocation of 1.2. And therefore the construction of Kambeche footbridge in West Nyakach Ward, the total money now for that project will be 2.4 million. I hope that is the correct one. Installation of culverts at Kawandoi, Oyuma, Kakong Access Road in Ombei, 1 million. The project be expunged and the funds be reallocated to raise adequate resources for opening and formation of Beria Market or Bomba Dispensary stroke Gore Market Ring Road with an approved budget of 1.5. And therefore the total figure for that project will read 2.5 million. I hope that is the right one. Trade, tourism, industry and marketing. Project number 12, fencing of Oyuma Market in Ombei at 500,000. The project be expunged and the funds be reallocated to backfilling of Ombei Market with an approved budget of 2 million. So backfilling of Ombei Market now will read 2.5. I hope that is the right. The CCM part 9, the CCM finance and community planning to enforce compliance to the relevant legal frameworks in line with our review of the compliance to various relevant legal provisions, guiding the preparation of supplementary budget to prevent case-by-case violation of law. Mr. Speaker, we had a lot of compliance violation and a lot of legal provision underpinning the supplementary. If you go to page 15 of the main report, you have it there, members. Mr. Speaker and honorable members, the legal provision underpinning the supplementary are contained in section 107, 135 and 154 of the PFM Act 2012 and section 31 and 39 of PFM regulations of 2015 and the County Assembly Standing Orders number 225. Mr. Speaker, the committee observation on this, the committee has noted that the supplementary budget has floated certain significant provisions that we felt will be unfair if we don't mention them in our report. One, new projects in the supplementary budget, Mr. Speaker, that contrary to Regulation 39, Part 8 of the PFM regulations of 2015, there are a number of new projects which have been introduced in the supplementary budget. To illustrate, there is upgrading of Nyamasaria bus park under the Department of City, which I think is in Kolwa Central, 4 new projects under the Department of Infrastructure, Energy and Public Works, 2 new projects under the Department of Trade, Tourism, Industry and Marketing, 1 new project under the Department of Agriculture, Irrigation, Livestock and Fisheries. And more so when we have a budget that is underfunded by a bigger percentage, and we are actually under the constraints of a lot of funds, Mr. Speaker. Part 2, Mr. Speaker, approval of budgetary reallocation, adjustments of programs above 10%. I said here that most of the departments had a lot of internal movements, that is from one vote to the other. The law allows you up to a given percentage. So there are other departments that have also contravened this, and contrary to Regulation 39, Part 9 of the PFM regulations of 2015, some expenditure adjustments have exceeded 10%. This includes one, City of Kisumu, Sport, Culture, Gender, and Youth Affairs, those two departments. Part 3, breach of procurement rules, Mr. Speaker. The committee has notably observed that some accounting offices have procured and committed projects which were not appropriated in the approved budget and the annual procurement in contravention of regulation number 50, part 2 and 3 of the PFM regulations of 2015. Part 4, limited powers of accounting officers to reallocate appropriated funds. That contrary to provisions of Section 154, Part 1B of the PFM Act 2012, the development expenditures appropriated in the approved budget of 4,457,734,638 has been reduced to 4,307,035,892, giving a variance of 150 million 698,746. Of course, the main reason why we have a reduction in development, one, just allow me to mention that in the main budget we had appropriated 100 million towards the construction of a new stadium, the Moi Stadium, but the department felt that because of the limited time, the department was not going to complete the work. And again, going by the requirement by the governor, I think the governor has a design which he feels that should be implemented when it comes to construction of that new stadium. And therefore, the money which was budgeted for under development could not be spent. And therefore, it was reappropriated for other functions, Mr. Speaker. I was just explaining why there was a reduction in development. Mr. Speaker, again, on the fiscal responsibility, the budgetary allocation for personnel emolument in the supplementary estimate 1 for financial year 2023-2024 is 39% of the total budget, which contravenes the provisions of Section 25(1)(b) of the PFM regulations of 2015. I think some departments went further and even reduced their P&E, which was contravening some of these regulations. Part 6, despite major adjustments in supplementary budget, provision of an assessment of the fiscal impact of the proposed reductions or increase to various programs have not been provided. For example, the Department of Infrastructure, Energy and Public Works, whose main objective was to open, construct and maintain roads and drainage network, a total of Kenya shillings 35,600,000 has been proposed for reallocation to other programs in the supplementary. And I think this observation will be overtaken by events. Should we approve this report? Because one of our major recommendations is that all the expand projects to be reappropriated back to where they were. And therefore the department will not be able to reappropriate this 35 million. General observations during the consultative meeting with the departments, Mr. Speaker. During the committee engagement with sectors, many departments reported expungement of various development projects which had been procured and committed as at the time of preparation of the supplementary, which could have legal implications or, pending bills, which is already a huge burden for the county. According to our analysis, the county government have averagely absorbed 40% of the total budget within the first and second quarter of the financial year. The under-absorption of the budget was linked to late exchequer releases, delay in preparation and submission of BQs by the Department of Public Works, and Part 9 on general observation, some donor-funded projects appear to be facing implementation challenges. The committee noted that the low implementation of donor-funded projects is a problem on how the donor-funded projects are being conceived, structured, and implemented. Such projects include the World Bank funded National Agriculture Value Chain Development Project, IDA, still at the initial stages, the struck conditional grant for aggregated industrial park. Remember, we had budgeted for the construction of industrial park, but we did not get the money from the national government.
And the fertilizer subsidy, which residents have not been sensitized on its distribution and access, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, just like I said, we will try to shorten the report, Mr. Speaker, and it is therefore, Mr. Speaker, my pleasant undertaking on behalf of the County Budget and Appropriation Committee to table this report in this House and recommend it for adoption, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I therefore move the motion and call upon the majority leader to second. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members. Honorable Speaker, this supplementary budget estimate is coming at a time that the country and the global economies are facing very serious challenges as a result of rising cost of living and weakening of the Kenya shillings against other currencies. That is brought by several wars happening all over the world and within our county. We have the Ukraine-Russia war, the Middle East war. We also have Kelvin versus Oraro war around. Honorable Speaker, I think the county found it fit to come up with this supplementary budget since we have received some funding to realign our budget estimates in accordance with the County Allocation Revenue Act 2023. Mr. Speaker, again, as read by our budget chair, it is very important for the county to realign the budget vote heads within the departments while maintaining the budget ceilings as given in our approved budget 2023-2024. Honorable Speaker, I want to commend the work that was done by the Budget Committee for seeing fit to add or to give an additional money to upgrade our bus park at Molem. Honorable Speaker, this is a project that is only found in one of the rural wards that has been given a huge amount of money. I think the project there cost 180 million and giving it an additional 37 million to complete it. I think that is very important for even for the member from that ward, for you to realize a project of more than 200 million. That's a plus. This is a project that will give employment to several youths, especially from Kolwa Central. Honorable Speaker, where the committee giving an additional 30 million to address disaster, it is very important since we have come from a very heavy rainy season and we are still going to face more rains. And to address these issues of floods, especially in Kano Plains and Lower Nyakach, it was very important for the committee to add more money to the Department of Public Service and Governance. Mr. Speaker, I want to also commend the committee for insetting our ward-based projects. It was very important because these are projects that were given by members of our wards. And the members gave these projects as a priority. So it was very wrong for the executive to expunge. So I want to commend the members of the Budget Committee for having done that. And Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to say that by reinstating these projects, it is going to help the county, because removing them at a stage where procurement and commitment had been done, I think the county was going to face very serious legal implications, and it was also going to lead us to have more pending bills, which is not good for us as a county. Honorable Speaker, lastly, I want to say, and I want to urge members on this, by coming up with a proper procurement plan for the county executive to do the submission by 30th of August every financial year. It is very important because it's going to help to prevent delay in implementation of projects and then save the country from incurring more pending bills. Honorable Speaker and honorable members, I second. Thank you very much.
Honorable members, now that a motion on adoption of the report of the Budget and Appropriation Committee on consideration of the Kisumu County's supplementary estimates for the financial year 2023-2024 being the first supplementary budget has been moved by the Honorable Joaquim Oke, Chair, Budget and Appropriation Committee, and seconded appropriately by the Leader of Majority. As per our standing orders, I want to propose a question. And I propose that the motion adoption of the report of Budget and Appropriation Committee on consideration of the Kisumu County supplementary estimates for the year 2023-2024 is open for debate. Honorable.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support this report. I've been part of the interrogation of the draft draft supplementary budget. We interacted with the various departments, gave us their views as to why they needed to readjust and realign their budget lines. Mr. Speaker, I want to support, especially, Mr. Speaker, now that the committee did all it could to retain all the ward-based projects within the budget. Mr. Speaker, I only have one concern though, that on page 34, there is a project that, that is project number 123, that has been quoted to have been mistakenly placed in Manyatabi. Mr. Speaker, there is a confusion that we may need to take note of, that there are two Gorofa Chafus, one in Manyatabi and one in Migosi. But Mr. Speaker, Gorofa Chafu at Kawash is duly under Manyatabi. Mr. Speaker, if you take Kondele Kibos Road, on your right you have Manyatabi, that is from Kawash, and the other side is Migosi. So even the Kawash police station is within Manyatabi ward. So I just wanted a correction made on this, that the Gorofa Chafu at Kawash is properly under Manyatabi ward. Thank you.
Point of information, Mr. Speaker.
Switch off your microphone, Honorable Naraya. Honorable Pamela, whom do you want to inform?
I want to inform the Speaker on the floor.
Honorable Naraya, Honorable Pamela, I want to inform you.
Or I want to inform the House.
Mr. Speaker, when it comes to the boundaries of my ward, I don't need any information.
Mr. Speaker, I want to inform the House. The budget of Gorofa Chafu, Kawash Gorofa Chafu, is in Migosi, and I am the one who put it in the budget.
Resume your seat. Honorable Naraya, the Honorable Pamela wanted to inform you and you denied. So I think she informed the House, and I think the budget chair is there. You are taking notes. You will consider it appropriately.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker.
Well, Honorable Naraya, I have not given you a chance.
Mr. Speaker, I was on the floor.
Okay, you are continuing.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I just want to conclude by saying that we all passed the budget estimates 2023-2024, and Mr. Speaker, the said project is properly under the Department of Energy Infrastructure, and we can all confirm that Manyatabi had only 3 projects under the department. That was floodlight at the 2 bridges, that is my boundary with Central Kolua. Another project that is floodlight at Kawash Gorofa Chafu, that is behind the stalls, the containers, behind the police station at Kawash, and a road. So we only had 3 projects. Mr. Speaker, I know my able chair will confirm that they said floodlight at Kawash Gorofa Chafu is properly under Manyatabi, and nobody should take it away from Manyata. And I'm even glad, Mr. Speaker, to inform the House that The said area was private land, and the department demanded a lease for the floodlight to be erected there. And that said floodlight, Mr. Speaker, has been transferred to Koyo Dispensary and has since been erected. So, Mr. Speaker, there is no more quarrel about it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Now, let me look at the size of the body and give Honorable Tom Onditi.
And Honorable Tom, okay. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to start by commenting the committee for a job well done. Thank you, the chairman. Mr. Speaker, through this reading, the committee has demonstrated that they can put their foot down sometime when they decide to, regardless of sometimes pressures from the other quarters. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker, I also want to commend the committee for the additional 30 million for the disaster management. My ward being one of the flood-prone areas, and you know disasters has been part of our life. Therefore, I hope with additional money and with the April long rain coming, I think we will get something at least to sort out a bit of our problems. The other one, I also want to thank the committee, Mr. Speaker, for instating the ward-based projects that were initially withdrawn by the executive. You know, some of these projects are already planned and information had gone out that they are going to be implemented. And now when they are withdrawn, you know, how it's going to backfire on the members here. And I want to thank the committee for that. Finally, Mr. Speaker, I just want to make one comment. Under some of my wards, I just want the project to be renamed, which is currently reading as backfilling of Bombay Market, to read as follows: diking, construction of the Market Ring Road, installation of 2 points, culverts, and stone pitching of the Ring Road drainage. So that's what I want it to be renamed. Otherwise, I support. Thank you very much.
Honorable Tom Nyaoke. After Tom Onditi, now it's Tom Nyaoke.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to first of all take this opportunity to thank the Chair of Budget. And sincerely, Mr. Speaker, I pray and hope that as he plans to join the National Assembly in 2027, he can still maintain the position of being the budget chair in the National Assembly. He's really doing very, very well. So he can become our next Ndindi Nyoro in the National Assembly. Mr. Speaker, there are some issues that the chair did raise when he was reading for us the supplementary budget, Mr. Speaker. And one of them that I took note of is the pending bills, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, one of the fundamental mandates of the Department of Finance, Mr. Speaker, if I can pinpoint about two. One is developing and implementing financial policies in the county, and another one is managing the county government's public debts and obligations and developing a framework of debt control of the county, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the issue of pending bills has been a serious disease, not only in our county, but this one seems to be a disease almost across board, Mr. Speaker. And the plans and the way the committee has tried to handle this issue, Mr. Speaker, I believe that if they put their feet more tough down, Mr. Speaker, then they are able to reduce this disease going forward, Mr. Speaker. This is something that if we are able to sustain, or we are able to put down, Mr. Speaker,
then we are really going to have some easy time going forward. Mr. Speaker, because of this, there are certain projects, for example, in North Nyakach Ward, which have been expanded, although I didn't hear the chair talk about it, Mr. Speaker. But I understand the reason why, because when I wanted to find out really why they have been expanded, Mr. Speaker, it is because of, it is very certain that even if we go through the normal procedures of procurement by now, then definitely they will fall as pending bills, Mr. Speaker. So with that, I do understand, and I want to thank the Budget Committee for letting the ones that we are able to finish with at this particular time, and then let the rest that we are able to continue with, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, for this, I'll not take offense for those projects, particularly the ones in Katito Hospital. There are quite a number of things that I mentioned that are listed to be done. But unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, the procurement was not done in time, and I cannot take offense because even if it is done now, it cannot be able to be finished within this short period of time. Mr. Speaker, I therefore want to remind the Committee for Budget that as we go again, let us finish this one, but the new financial year, let them make sure that the procurements of what we have listed or the projects that we intend to do in our wards are done in good time, Mr. Speaker, so that by the time they are completed, they don't fall naturally as pending bills, Mr. Speaker. If we do this, I think we will be able to assist our government, our county government, to facilitate the movement and the development to take place in good time, Mr. Speaker. Otherwise, I stand to support and thank the committee for a job well done. Thank you.
Honorable Kelvin Rar.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's just unfortunate that Majority Leader has just walked out, but is represented fully by the Deputy Majority Leader, Honorable Lumumba Wade. Mr. Speaker, the report by the Budget Committee is about the supplementary budget estimates, a replica of the budget that we approved. And by law, we cannot change the supplementary budget, but to adjust it to a certain percentage has already been read by my able chair, Honorable Joachim Okech. Mr. Speaker, when I took time reading the supplementary budget, one of the areas that I noted, and I heard also from the committees, was the issue of the projects that were expanded. There are some projects that were expanded by the CC member for finance by virtue that they cannot be done because the procurement had not been done by then. And he has promised that something is going to be done. I hope my MCA for Kondele Ward or the MCA for Kondele Ward is not doing PR. The ones that have been procured are the ones going to be done, and maybe assume it that way, Mr. Speaker. Let's assume that the projects in the ward, in the budget estimate, are all going to be done. And if by virtue that others have been removed in the supplementary budget, I hope we could have been clear and not put it as a joke, Mr. Speaker. Number two, and an issue that I wanted to raise, Mr. Speaker, thanking your office, you enabled us as members of Ward Development Committee through my able chair, Honorable Vitalis Komudo, to visit a county, that is Uasin Gishu County. We took time, sat with the MCAs and wanted to know how they do their budget and how they do solve their problems, Mr. Speaker. And from that, I learned a lot, Mr. Speaker. I know we cannot all be equal, but laws that are put in place can actually assist a lot of things when it comes to budgeting. I'm even surprised when my senior from Kisumu East can compete for a project with the neighboring constituency, that is Kisumu Central. Meaning that as members, we are even confused. We don't know who put what and what, which should not even happen in this assembly. It was just an unfortunate event that it had to be that way, Mr. Speaker. So for that county, what I admired most is the word equitable from Article 174 in the Constitution, if you read G. One of the objects of devolution is equitable sharing of the resources. And for that reason, I was trying to analyze. I took my time I was sleeping at around 2, trying to follow up and see other wards and how they are performing. And I realized, Mr. Speaker, that even if you are going to approve this budget, there is something that the whip and the majority leader need to do for this house. Not for us today, but for the future MCAs and future good practice of this county. And that's why we are leaders who are supposed to make law. It is not about which hand, but it's about bringing something that can always guide the committee, guide the house, and have members working the same way or equal, getting resources without struggling. Mr. Speaker, as I want to maybe make my summary of this, I want to appreciate the sentiment by Majority Leader talking about the 37 million that is given to Koloa Central under Nyamasaria Baspa. You know very well, Honorable Swaga, that we have county-wide projects and we have ward-based projects. When you talk about bus park at Nyamasaria, by virtue that it is in my ward, it has to bear that name, Koloa Central Ward. But to me, I feel like those are the county-wide projects that are left for discretion of the governors so that it can promote development. In the budget for SEME, which I never indicated when I was doing my research, I realized that they had 80 million for bitumen, which actually it's a county-wide project, and it is in the East SEME. So there are county-wide projects that we need to promote. You don't understand what I'm saying. It's a county-wide project, but allocated under East SEME. That's what I'm saying. I'm assuming that you're talking to yourself, but in my contribution, Mr. Speaker, I was looking at 25 million in Kondele Ward, which was given to Jaramogi Oginga Odinga. I don't see that as a ward-based project, but I see it as a county-wide project because of the nature of the item that is being allocated for. So, Mr. Speaker, in my own submission in this report, as I support the document presented by the Chair, Committee of Budget, I want the leadership of this House to sit down in their own wisdom, because after this budget that we are approving today, we are starting the process of preparing for the next budget estimate that we'll be discussing in April and maybe part of May as we plan to approve. One of the things that I'm requesting this House to consider in the next budget estimate is the issue of equitable sharing. If we can make a law by then, so be it. But even if there's no law, I really want you, the Speaker, and I want the leadership to also consider the issue of equitable sharing of resources. If that is done, then I'm sure no one will always be running to so and so for favors in the name of budget. I submit that and I support the report. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, let me give Honorable Benny Pete, then Honorable Seth.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I know we need to be brief because the appropriation bill is also waiting for us, but we need to make a little comment on these matters of budget. Mr. Speaker, the matter of pending bills is raised here, and this is a matter that is raised every year whenever we are handling budget matters, and no action is taken. This financial year, a new dimension has come up where departments are asked to pay their pending bills. Yet when we were doing the budget the last financial year and this financial year, it was the assumption that all pending bills are lying at the Department of Finance. And the money allocated for pending bills is being handled at the Department of Finance. That instruction given most likely has disorganized the departments because they are not prepared to use their allocation for their current expenditure for the pending bills. That is a matter that this House should not take lightly and should not just be said by the way. We need to find out from the department what constitutes the pending bills in Kisumu County. And we have said this several times. And remember, there's a time frame given on that by the Committee of Budget. I hope that one is not just given for the sake of it. We need to monitor that and raise that matter so that the seriousness that it deserves is seen. Another matter I want to raise, Mr. Speaker, is the disaster risk and emergency. Another 30 million has been allocated. That is good, Mr. Speaker. When we are handling the main budget, there was the 50 million. And when this was being followed up, there were stories, Mr. Speaker. And when financial records are presented in this assembly on monies of disaster and emergency, the execution is being done at the finance department. And this has also been raised here several times. We need to be clear on what is happening. Not just when the budget comes like this, we open our mouth. After that, we forget everything. Mr. Speaker, the procurement plan has been raised, that the House should give attention to procurement plan. These are matters that are being raised year in, year out. And I'm happy this time round, the Budget Committee has taken its time to interact with the departments to review the implementation of projects. I hope that the other sectoral committees will follow it to help the budget committee. What has not been mentioned in this report, Mr. Speaker, is the machine-based projects, which is very crucial for us on the ground. But I hope the Department of Roads will not take it light. They will follow up the matter of machine-based projects. Mr. Speaker, this matter of the bus stop at Molem has been raised here, but I'm happy when they raise it, because that is a flagship project for the government of Professor Nyong'o, not a ward-based project. But when they're raising it, they want to raise it as if they want to insinuate something, which is normal in politics, but we are now in budget. Mr. Speaker, I'm also happy that more projects are coming up at Molem by the national government for Kisumu County. The same way Lumumba Estate was demolished to pave way for affordable housing. Those are things that we should talk of proudly. So a modern market is coming up at Molem. Because Molem, Kolwa Central, is not a village ward. It's not a ward in the rural area. It is part of Kisumu city. Thank you. Mr. Speaker, the Agriculture Department has some donor funds. The National Value Chain Development Program, which is about 250 million. There is also subsidized fertilizer, 120 million. These are funds that are there in the project, and the MCS should acquaint themselves and know. And the Department of Agriculture should be taken to task to sensitize our people on this. Because the subsidized fertilizer, the instruction from the national government is that the county government should establish stocks at the ward level. The Agriculture Committee, are they aware that is the instruction? And is there any effort towards that? Those are information that we should have in this house. And we should tell our people on the ground. The National Value Chain Development Program has about 250 million. And this is money that should be used to empower our farmers on these crops: rice, cotton, tomatoes, dairy, and poultry. So when we are looking at the budget, we should also understand what does the budget contain that we need to spread our people on the ground. Very critical. Bwana Chair, budget. And it's good you have made a comment that sensitization is poorly done. So MCS need to take note of that. Then I want to end by saying, Mr. Speaker, equitable share of resources, very key, particularly on the ward-based projects. Flagship projects, there's a project that can go to Western Yakach and I may not make noise because that is where it deserves to be. But the ward-based projects should be equitably shared. Mr. Speaker, with those few remarks, I so submit.
Yes, Honorable Seth.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. I rise to support that we adopt the report from the Budget and Appropriation Committee. And Honorable Speaker, this report on the supplementary budget comes at the right time. Honorable Speaker, when we were making the main budget, the cost of commodities, as was mentioned by the majority leader, were a little bit low. And I remember when members were appropriating for some projects, case in point in Ombei, they thought that 500,000, if you look at it, like literally, you could think it could do a lot of things. But as people learn, because this was the first budget that they were making, as people learn, they are realizing that given the taxes after contracting such works, given so many things involved, withholding tax, VAT, you find that 500 cannot do anything. And now they are willingly reappropriating such monies to projects that are valuable to their people. I want to thank the honorable members for seeing that fit and doing the same for several other projects. Honorable Speaker, as much as we are doing a supplementary budget, it should be noted that we only got an increase of 1 million as additional revenue. I think it was 1.4 million as additional revenue. So we had very little to reappropriate, but we were just trying to rearrange the budget, removing things that were not priority, taking projects that we underappropriated and giving right amounts, merging projects, and that did not change what most members are talking about. With the same resource envelope we are having, it is hard to assume that if you get a project of 37 million, you should be added another one of 27 million and another one of 30 million. So as we talk of equity, we should also take into consideration that if you receive, like my honorable brother, and I think is very happy about that, if he gets a project of 37 million for construction of a bus park, then he adds into his 20 million that he always writes about in several pages, then he's now having 57 million. And now he beats Oeko. He beats Oeko. He's now number 2 in the list of projects that we're having in the county. So, Honorable Speaker, we need to emphasize on revenue collection. We had a Kisumu revenue board that we passed in this house. I think it's time, and they promised that they'll be giving us monthly revenue reports, because this can also help us determine if the projected revenue are within what we are appropriating for, or we are going to have more, or we are going to have less. We need to take into consideration that as we write reports. Honorable Speaker, to be specific, in Iseme, there are 3 projects and underwater, and one is borehole drilling and installation of Chuthber Center. Another one is borehole drilling and installation at Obola Center, and another one is pipeline extension of Langi Water Project. Honorable Speaker, if you look at those costs, some of those projects are not tenable. At those costs, if you drill a borehole, you might not be able to equip it. So we, after public participation, we are planning, Honorable Chair, to merge some of those projects so that we have a project that is completely done and not have these issues like it's happening in several other places where you are starting a project and you cannot finish it because the money that was appropriated was less. Honorable Speaker, as I finish, I want to thank members of the Budget Committee and the Assembly at large that they are agreeing with this report, and we are agreeing that this supplementary budget has come at the right time, and we shall do the appropriation using this report. Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Lumumba.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the adoption of this supplementary budget. Allow me first of all to thank the committee led by the able chairman, Honorable Swaga, for a job well done. Mr. Speaker, I'm aware that members of the budget committee, me included, did do a good job and we deserve a pat on the back. It was not an easy job though, but I know God granted the chairman the wisdom that was required then. It was there that you could see the real meaning of dialogue and, and cooperation that led to this important document that is being presented here, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the members of the committee did not participate in this exercise as individuals, but they did represent the entire House. And that is why you see there is no squabble about the supplementary in terms of ward representation, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to commend the committee more so in the pending bills. Much as it's a concern to the members, the executive has tried and the pending bill is going down. The recommendation that the committee came up with is also very commendable, that the pending bills will now be handled at the departmental level. I believe that will give us enormous result and reduce the pending bill going forward. Also of importance is the procurement plan that has been proposed, and if we do our procurement plan in good time, we will be able to implement our projects, leaving us with very, very minimal room for pending bills. Mr. Speaker, for purposes of record, when the chairman was reading the report, in my ward he did place Sigoti Health Center, Sangorota. All of them are from Nyakash, but the other one is from my colleague Honorable Jemo, and Sigoti is from my ward. Sigoti Health Center renovation has already been procured, and the contractor is on site. I think it is just a typing error that placed Sigoti in West Nyakash. Because for that project to take off, Mr. Speaker, it requires the contractor to be, the BQ to be done, the project name to be there. There could have not been any error that could lead to the project being in Sangorota and quotation BQ, visiting the site, handing over of the site, be done in Sigoti. I therefore just want to put record right that the Sigoti project is in south, east, and Sangorota is in the west. Finally, Mr. Speaker, allow me also to commend our governor and the entire executive. Wherever they go, others call them, they roll around, but again they come with goodies. You heard that our budget has gone up due to donation from developing partners. It was not for them alone, but for the community. People have contributed here. I have not had any individual. Most of those have been going to work with the government to bring projects. None of them have stood here to say, I brought a particular project of this amount. I appeal to them to know that all the government projects are brought to this county through the county, and therefore they should stay and support our county and our party and our government. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Honorable James Omolo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, allow me also to support this report of the Budget Committee. Indeed, we are in good time to pass the supplementary so that we can move as a county. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank all the departments. This fiscal year, 2023-24 budget, they have really tried to procure in time. And for those which are remainder, I think they still have the last quarter to do the procurement and execute all the projects that we had in the ward. Allow me also to applaud the chair. He has said that all the projects which were deleted by the CCM Finance are already reinstated. Mr. Speaker, I was the biggest culprit there. Most of my projects had been deleted, especially in roads, because they were procured late. So I think by the time the CCM was getting the list from the roads, it found that some of my projects were not there. But I want to thank the chair that these are already rectified, because I was going to lose a lot. And already those contractors are on site and they are doing works. It is good to realize that if that could have happened, then I don't know how these contractors would have been paid, because these are contracts which had been awarded and we were just waiting for the execution, for the contractors to go to site. And as we speak, they are on site. Mr. Speaker, allow me also to applaud that I had insufficient funding for the two bridges, the foot bridges, that is Katieno and Kambeche, and we agreed with the committee and the department that we merge them into one, and we come up with the Kambeche Bridge to be done at a tune of 2.4 million. Mr. Speaker, these were all projects in the same ward, serving the same people, and I think they agreed as a people that they have to start with one, and then in the next subsequent budget, we do the other one, which will remain. I think that is in order. Mr. Speaker, I also want to applaud my colleagues. I think when you are in budget chair, I attended most of the session. I want to thank you so much that although all of us cannot sit in the budget committee, but how you deliberated on behalf of everybody who was absent, that is the spirit we really need. And I think, Mr. Speaker, it is our role to be brother's keeper in any committee. If I'm in education, I should be a brother's keeper for all those who are not in that committee, and that is the way to build this county. And I want to thank them so much. They really tried to advocate for those who are hurt in the same manner I was hurt in that kind of cancellation of the projects. Mr. Speaker, we have lock-up projects in the water department. Mr. Speaker, as we speak, none has been procured and we are in the third quarter. So I urge the chair, as we pass the supplementary and this report, I think it is in order the FLOCA projects should start off. If they don't start by this month, Mr. Speaker, you and I know that this fiscal year will end on 30th June. We are just 3 months away or 4 months away. So with the magnitude of the projects in FLOCA, which is a donor-funded project and our own CRF funded, we really are time-bound and we can lose all those projects on FLOCA. So I think it is upon the Department of Water and Environment to really make sure that all projects which were proposed by the different committees in all the 35 wards, they have all of them, they have the documents ready. I don't know what is holding them to start off procuring them as such, because or else they will be hot air soon. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I support this report. Asante.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, considering the mood of the House, may I call upon the mover to reply? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the mood in the House is that they want this report passed as soon as possible. Of course, there are areas where we had a lot of conflict. The Ghorofa Chafu issue will be sorted. Of course, we have Ghorofa Chafu both in Migosi and in Manyata B. So the money will be appropriated in the right ward
we look at the budget notes and what we have in our main budget, so we'll be able to know who is the right holder of the 2 million floodlight in Ghorofa Chafu. Most of the members commended the committee, Mr. Speaker, and I also agree that the committee did a good job. We had a very vibrant committee, and I have to inform this House that the meetings and the sessions were not just a walk in the park. I remember in Bondo, people were almost going into fist fight just to ensure, and the Honorable Lumumba is aware, and you even saw that found its way in our group. People are almost fighting in Bondo over this budget. But what I want to agree with them is that the fight was not over individual projects, but it was for the good of the entire county. Members were prepared and ready to defend their sub-counties. And eventually, in the later sessions, we all agreed, and the overall good of the county took effect, and that is what we have here today. The issue of equitable share, Mr. Speaker, is coming out very clearly, and you can remember even in the proposals of the main budget that we did pass in June, one of the issues was to get a law that is binding so that we don't have to be negotiating each and every financial year how much are the wards getting. I mean, it's not normally an easy negotiation, and I hope this year, as we wait for the law, the leadership can take charge also so that we might start knowing how much our wards are able to get. Of course, I agree with Honorable Pete on the issue of the pending bills. The departments have been always forced, more so in the recurrent, to make it a fast charge. So that is why we are proposing that. Of course, we also want to allow development also to be paid by the department, so that the only pending bill that we will be budgeting for will be the accumulated ones. But going into the fresh financial years, let every department ensure that whatever they are awarded is paid for towards the end of financial year. If they don't ensure it is paid, then they will take the responsibility of handling the pending bill, Mr. Speaker. The issue of Sigoti, Mr. Speaker, we're also ensuring that it is put in the right word. I have heard Honorable Lumumba's concern. The issue of machine-based, we didn't mention much of it in this report because we did not interfere with the money that was appropriated for machine-based. So we hope that the department is still working towards ensuring that the kilometers of road that was prepared in all the wards are done, and the money was never touched. So we have left the money, and let's hope that by the end of the financial year, all the wards should have gotten their right to share of the number of kilometers to be prepared, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, just like I said earlier, the mood of the House that we passed this report, I want to thank the committee, Mr. Speaker. I had a very able deputy. I have very able members. We have a lot of members of the leadership in the committee whose their interest also is to ensure that the interest of the executive is taken care of. They were very lenient with us. Areas where we did not agree with the executive, they heard our plea, they communicated, and we are able to have a win-win situation in the budget, Mr. Speaker. I also have to thank the leadership of the Assembly, Mr. Speaker. The Speaker was always there with us in areas where we had a lot of challenges. He was able to come in and advise areas where the laws were contravened. And also the Assembly is one of the areas where they normally very prompt when regards to their budget. Their budget is normally very simplified and working note. So I want to thank even the members, Honorable Pete, even Honorable, I think Ojemo was there. There are members who have been attending our sessions, even though they are not members of the Budget Committee, Mr. Speaker. And I still want to encourage them that when we are having our sessions, either here or at Shiloah, just feel free to come and hear the deliberations, come and contribute as a committee. We'll always give you a chance so that you know what is happening. Otherwise, I want to thank you all, Mr. Speaker, and it's my plea that we adopt this report, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much.
Honorable members, now that the motion on adoption of the report of the Budget and Appropriation Committee on consideration of the Kisumu County's supplementary estimate for the year 2023-2024 was moved, seconded, and debated, as per our standing orders, I want to put a question. And I put that as many of the opinion that the motion on adoption of the report of the Budget and Appropriation Committee on consideration of the Kisumu County first supplementary estimate for financial year 2023-2024 be adopted, say aye. As many of the contrary opinions say nay. The ayes have it. And the motion, that is adoption of the report of the Budget and Appropriation Committee on its consideration of the Kisumu County First Supplementary Estimate for the year 2023-2024 have been adopted today, Thursday, the 14th of March 2024 at 17:36 hours. And honorable members, I had directed earlier that when we have such reports, it forms part of our discussion in the Committee of the Whole House. I know the second reading is coming. And before I go to the next order, I want to request the Honorable Chair of Budget that I hope by now all the members have received the appropriation bill, so that by the time we are discussing the bill, you are well equipped with the areas of amendment and reactions. I also want to ask members that please make it a practice that if there is any amendment you want to propose, let it be with the clerk or the speaker, at least a day to the date of discussion. Otherwise, next order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And honorable members, there's no any other business to be transacted in the order paper.
Let's be upstanding members. Let's be upstanding, and there being no any other business in the order paper, the House stands adjourned until Tuesday, the 19th of March 2024 at 2:30 p.m.